Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I am Hashini Patirana. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
SLPP files legal action in the Supreme Court against the bill seeking to abolish presidential privileges. Namal says he won't support decisions that burden youth with debt again. B report in court regarding Namal's 70 million rupee Krish transaction. Court orders police to seize machinery used in ilmenite mining operation in Aruakkalu. President preparing for official visits to the United States and Japan. Sri Lanka earned $318 million from tourism in July alone.
Taking a look at those stories in detail, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has filed a petition in the Supreme Court challenging the President's Entitlement Repeal Bill that aims to revoke the entitlements of former presidents.
The Administrative Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Renuka Pereira, has filed a petition naming the Attorney General as the respondent. The petition states that on the 7th, the government placed a bill on the parliamentary agenda to revoke the legal rights of former presidents. It points out that sections 1 to 4 of the proposed bill violate the principle of separation of powers guaranteed by the Constitution. The petition further states that the provisions in the bill violate the sovereignty of the people guaranteed by the Constitution. It also claims that the bill goes against the fundamental principles of the entire Constitution. The petitioners seek a ruling that the disputed provisions can only be passed with a special two-thirds majority in Parliament and approval by a public referendum.
SLPP National Organizer Namal Rajapaksa says that steps will be taken to ensure that future generations are not burdened with debt and that the necessary financial flow will be secured for their future. Speaking at a gathering of party supporters in Galle, he emphasized that political decisions should be made with a 20-year vision in mind.
We must make every decision with the next 20 years in mind, not just 10. Our decisions should be based on how our people will benefit in 2 decades. Because no matter what, I will have to do it. Even if 10 more years pass, I'll only be 49. If 20 pass, I'll be 59. Even in 30 years, I'll be 69. And to reach my father's current age, I still have 40 more years to go. So compared to most in Parliament today, I've got at least another 20 years ahead of me to reach their age. That means I can't just focus on quick, short-term wins in 5 or 10 years and walk away, because I'll still be here afterwards. That's why I don't make decisions lightly. Every decision I take is planned for the long term, 20 or even 30 years ahead. I can't afford to make reckless decisions, and there's nothing to hide about our family's political legacy. My grandfather was in politics, my father was in politics, and now it's been nearly 100 years of public service from our family. Whether the next generation of our family joins politics or not is up to them. But if they choose to, we need to make sure that the stage is set for them properly. If we don't and people end up saying your grandfather and father messed everything up, it'll backfire on us. They will start to blame me. That's why I won't take any decision that could burden the next generation. I will make decisions. I will not refrain from making decisions to save my own skin like these people. I'll make the right calls with a clear plan so our children won't have to repay debts. And if they need support, I'll make sure the cash flow is in place for them too.
Case file.
The Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division informed the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court last Thursday that an investigation is underway under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act concerning parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa's alleged involvement in the controversial Krish transaction. This notification was submitted along with the detailed B report outlining the findings of the investigation.
What is this Krish transaction?
The Krish project is described as a strategic investment initiative involving the development of a 4.3-acre plot at Transwork Square in Colombo Fort, intended for the construction of 4 towers. The land was leased to Krish Transworks Colombo Private Limited for 99 years at a value of 4.955 billion rupees. The controversy surrounding the project comes from alleged irregularities in the financial transactions linked to it. Accusations of money laundering and large-scale corruption related to the project have persisted since 2013-2014. Among the transactions under scrutiny is 70 million rupees payment, for which Namal Rajapaksa was arrested and remanded before being released on bail in July 2016.
What is the story behind the 70 million rupees?
According to the FCID, Namal Rajapaksa had requested financial support for rugby development from R.P. Gupta, a director of Krish. Subsequently, 70 million rupees was reportedly deposited into two bank accounts belonging to Nimal Pereira between October and December 2012. Investigations revealed that in May and June 2013, prior to the launch of the Super Sevens rugby tournament, Nimal Pereira allegedly transferred the funds to Namal Rajapaksa in two installments. Namal Rajapaksa stated during questioning that the money was used for tournament expenses and handed over to the board and committee of Premier Sport Limited, the organizing company. However, FCID informed the court that directors of Premier Sport Limited denied receiving the funds for the tournament, suggesting the money may have been used for Namal's personal activities without the knowledge of the board. This led to the observation that Namal Rajapaksa may have obtained funds from Lanka Private Limited and used them for personal purposes without the knowledge of the company's board. Further investigations into Nimal Pereira's bank accounts revealed additional information, including foreign remittances with contradictory explanations from the account holder. These details were included in the B report submitted to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court last Thursday. The FCID stated that the investigation is ongoing and that the report was submitted in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Code. The division requested that the case file be set aside until the investigation is complete. Meanwhile, the Attorney General has filed indictments against Namal Rajapaksa in the Colombo High Court over the alleged misuse of the 70 million rupees, with the next hearing scheduled for the 26th of September. The FCID submitted a new B report to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court in connection with the ongoing money laundering investigation. Several opposition parties held media briefings in an attempt to point out a split in the government. They pointed out to a recent statement made by the Prime Minister in Parliament regarding the Supreme satellite project, which involved a former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's son, Rohitha Rajapaksa. In addition to the statement made by the Prime Minister, a clarification made by Minister Wasantha Samarasinghe was used as the basis for the claim that there is a split in the government.
Samagi Janabalawega MP Sujit Sanjay Pereira says the government is on the verge of collapse.
They don't have faith in their own Prime Minister. They've shown the public that the Prime Minister can be misled and that she's incapable of doing anything. As I see it, if things continue this way, the government will collapse. What I have to say is that this government will have to go home even before Gotabaya Rajapaksa's administration did.
Former MP Lakshman Kiriyalla also held a media briefing.
According to the British parliamentary tradition, those who speak the truth are the only ones that can remain in parliament, while those who lie must be removed. Both cannot stay. According to the British tradition, the Prime Minister is the head of the government. Ministers cannot oppose the Prime Minister's speech. That should be controlled by the chair. If every minister expresses an opinion contrary to the Prime Minister's speech, can a government function? This is what has happened to this government.
The United National Party also commented on the matter today.
The Constitution states that the Cabinet of Ministers is collectively responsible and accountable to Parliament, while the Prime Minister says one thing, Wasantha Samarasinghe says another. Wasantha Samarasinghe should apologise to the people of this country. We don't know if he intentionally tried to put the Prime Minister in a difficult position. The fact that there are ministers who cannot uphold the collective responsibility of the Cabinet is something that we as a country and a nation should be ashamed of.
These were the views of the spokesperson of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
The National People's Power and the JVP are no longer two separate groups. Trying to portray them as two groups is an attempt to deceive the public, so be careful. Soon you might hear claims saying we are NPP, they are JVP. We are different from them. But don't fall for it. NPP plus JVP equals this government. The appointment of Harinyamarasuriya Surya as Prime Minister was based on external influence and a proposal. Therefore, the government will not hold discussions on removing her from the post of Prime Minister just yet.
What is the government's response? This is the clarification from Deputy Minister Mahinda Jayasinghe.
A large-scale racket was exposed in the Putlam area and facts reveal that several ministers are also involved in this. I believe the current Acting Inspector General of Police has directly intervened and led the effort to expose this racket to the country. It has not only been about 7 or 8 months. By the end of this 5-year term, more and more of the corrupt political rackets that plunged our country into this situation will come to light. As these corrupt politicians who ruined our country are exposed and are stripped away, they have become very unsettled. There are several baseless accusations and mudslinging done towards the NPP government. We will not be swayed by any of these baseless accusations. We will not turn back and we will continue on the path we have started to work for the well-being of all communities in this country: Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim, Burgher, Malay, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian and Islam. I give you that assurance today. They know very well that as we move forward step by step, cracking down on fraud and corruption and punishing the fraudulent and the corrupt, they will lose their political future. That is why they are so upset. But we are not worried. As the saying goes, doctors don't get agitated even when the madmen do. So we are not worried. We will very steadily and slowly fulfill the responsibility entrusted to us and definitely complete the task of rebuilding this country.
All equipment and assets used for illegal ilmenite mining in Aruwakkalu Putlam will continue to remain in police custody until the 11th of September. This is based on an order issued by the Putlam Magistrates Court.
Police said the court issued the order after it was reported to the court that the group mining at the site did not have a license from the Geological Survey and Mining Bureau, and the fact that they were in violation of the Antiquities Ordinance and the Forest Conservation Ordinance. Based on those submissions, the police was ordered to retain custody of the machinery at the site, valued at approximately 400 million rupees. According to the facts uncovered so far regarding the illegal ilmenite mining, 4 pillars have been built in Lunuoya to extract water. Police added that the investigation is ongoing with a special team of officers from the Walana Anti-Corruption Unit. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Environment has taken steps to suspend the issuance of ilmenite mining licenses in the Putlam Aruwakkalu area. The Putlam Aruwakkalu region is particularly significant as it contains numerous prehistoric artifacts and spans 4,666 acres.
The People's Struggle Alliance expressed their views on mineral resources, including the Aruwakkalu incident, at a media briefing held today.
It's been so long and Aruwakkalu is in some hidden place in Sri Lanka. We don't know what the police in the Putlam area, the Central Environmental Authority and other relevant institutions were doing all this time while this was happening with vehicles and heavy machinery. Anyway, it's being reported now that they have raided the place and are stopping it. We are revealing to the government today that there is another place for the Ministry of Environment, the Central Environmental Authority and the police to raid. We are telling them to go and raid it immediately if they can. That is Mannar. What's happening in Mannar is that the same initial steps are being taken to carry out a similar racket. The mining of mineral sand in Mannar is the same thing that was done secretly in Aruwakkalu. It's a fraud. If the project in Aruwakkalu is a serious environmental disaster, Mannar is no less. Mannar is even beyond that.
A protest was staged in Mannar today against the wind power generation project and mineral sands mining in the Mannar district.
The protest was staged by civil activists, politicians and the general public in the Mannar district. The protest march began at the Mannar town roundabout and proceeded through the city.
நாங்கள் வந்து இந்த அத்திப்பட்டி மாதிரி அழிந்து போகக்கூடிய சந்தர்ப்பங்கள் ஏற்பட்டு கொண்டே இருக்கிறது. கடல் தொழிலை நாங்கள் மெயினாக கொண்டாக்கள். எங்களுடைய கிராமத்தில் மெயினாக இப்போ காற்றலை ஆரம்பித்து இருக்கிறார்கள் ஏற்கனவே. இதனால எங்களுக்கு வருடம் வெள்ளத்தினால பெரும் பாதிப்பு.
இலங்கையிலே மன்னார் தீவிலே காட்டாலை கனிய வளம் ஒரு பெரிய வரப்பிரசாதம் என்று சொன்னாலும் அதை பெறுவதற்காக இங்கே பாரம்பரியமாக காலங்காலமாக வாழ்கிற மக்களுடைய வாழ்க்கையை கேள்விக்குறியாக்கிவிட்டு
Meanwhile, a protest was also held near the Vaunia Hospital roundabout in support of the protest in Mana.
உண்மையாகவே மன்னார் தீவானது காற்றாலை மற்றும் கனியமண் அகழ்வு ஆகிய இரண்டு மிகப்பெரிய பிரச்சனைகளுக்கு முகம் கொடுத்துள்ளது. இந்த ரெண்டு பிரச்சனைகளையும் செயற்திட்டங்களையும் இலங்கை அரசாங்கம் அதானி குழுமத்திற்கு அது உடன்படிக்கையின் அடிப்படையிலேயே வழங்கி இருக்கின்றார்.
Newsfirst with the people.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
President Anukumar Dissanayake is scheduled to participate in 2 foreign state visits next month. He will visit the United States and Japan. President Anukumar Dissanayake is scheduled to depart for his state visit to the United States on the 23rd of September. During his visit, President Dissanayake is set to attend the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The President is also scheduled to address the UN General Assembly on the 24th of September. During this tour, President Dissanayake will meet with the Sri Lankan community residing in the United States. Following this, the President will depart for Japan. The President is undertaking this visit at the invitation of Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. During his tour, President Dissanayake is also scheduled to attend the Sri Lanka Day celebrations in Japan.
The Indian Navy's INS Rana arrived at the Trincomalee port on an official visit. The ship is scheduled to depart the island on the 14th of August.
This morning, the INS Rana, which arrived at Trincomalee port, was officially welcomed by the Sri Lanka Navy. The ship belongs to the Rajput class and measures 147 meters in length. The ship has 300 crew members on board. During its stay in the country, the ship's crew is scheduled to participate in training and sports programs organized by the Sri Lanka Navy to strengthen the naval friendship between the two countries.
A workshop and interview was held today for Sri Lankans of Indian origin to obtain the Overseas Citizen of India card issued by the Indian government.
The workshop was held at the Public Library Auditorium at the Nuwara Municipal Council. The event was organized under the theme Open House by the Deputy High Commission of India in Kandy.
We require documents to verify your origin from India. You must present these important documents. Only then can we confirm your eligibility. Without these, it becomes difficult under current laws. The rumor that OCI cards are no longer being issued is false. Distribution of OCI cards is ongoing.
According to our reporter, more than 25 individuals participated in the interview held for issuance of OCI cards by the Indian government.
The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, met with Prime Minister Dr. Harini Ambarasuriya today.
The Indian High Commission said that discussions were held here on the current India-Sri Lanka cooperation and new avenues for collaboration in the field of education. Additionally, the meeting focused on skills development, scholarships and capacity building.
3 people sustained minor injuries from a fire that broke out in a lorry near the Kurundugas Hatakma exit along the Southern Expressway.
The fire broke out this afternoon in a lorry travelling from Colombo to Ambalangoda. The vehicle caught fire after it overturned in an accident. 3 people who sustained minor injuries in the incident were hospitalized. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority reported that 1.4 million tourists have visited the country so far in 2025.
The arrival of 1.4 million tourists to Sri Lanka so far in 2025 marks a significant increase compared to the same period last year. The highest number of arrivals was from India, totaling 286,085 visitors. The authority further stated that 135,722 tourists arrived from the United Kingdom and 116,257 from Russia. Tourism revenue in July this year also recorded a notable rise. Accordingly, earnings from tourism in July 2025 amounted to $318.5 million. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka announced that the figure for July last year was $151.1 million.
Nahil Vijaysurya, a well-known Sri Lankan philanthropist and entrepreneur, has made a generous donation of 600 million rupees to St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. The donation was made through the Old Trinity Sports Club, his alma mater.
Renowned Sri Lankan philanthropist and entrepreneur Nahil Vijaysurya has donated 600 million rupees to St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia via the Old Trinity Sports Club, his alma mater. The contribution made through the Agnes Vijaysurya Foundation for Children and Elders will fund the construction of a state-of-art information technology building at St. Thomas's College, marking a significant step forward in the school's digital infrastructure and educational development. This act of benevolence not only highlights Mr. Vijaysurya's enduring commitment to education and youth empowerment, but also reinforces the historic bond between Trinity College Kandy and St. Thomas's College, both founded during the British colonial era and long celebrated as brother institutions. The donation is being hailed as one of the largest ever made to a Sri Lankan school, setting a precedent for alumni-driven development and inter-school solidarity.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
UN ambassadors have condemned Israel's plans to take control of Gaza City as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insisted it was the best way to end the war. At the same time, Australia will recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September to contribute to international momentum towards a two-state solution, a ceasefire in Gaza and release of the hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday defended a new military offensive in Gaza that's more sweeping than previously announced, declaring in the face of growing condemnation at home and abroad that Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas.
Our goal is not to occupy Gaza. Our goal is to free Gaza, free it from Hamas terrorists. The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas, lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Last Thursday, Israel's Security Cabinet, instructed the IDF to dismantle the two remaining Hamas strongholds in Gaza City and the central camps. Contrary to false claims, this is the best way to end the war and the best way to end it speedily. We will do so by first enabling the civilian population to safely leave the combat areas to designated safe zones.
Meanwhile, Israel came under heavy criticism at an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. The UK, France, Denmark, Greece and Slovenia all urged a reversal of the plan, stating it would not help free hostages and could put their lives at risk. Other countries like China and Russia echoed these concerns, with China calling the action collective punishment and Russia warning against reckless intensification of hostilities. UN officials also weighed in. Assistant Secretary General Miroslav Jenka warned the plan could trigger another calamity in Gaza, while Ramesh Rajasingham from the UN's humanitarian office stated that the hunger crisis in Gaza was starvation, pure and simple. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has said that his country will recognise Palestine as a state at the UN General Assembly in September, following similar steps by Canada, the UK and France.
Today I can confirm that at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September, Australia will recognise the state of Palestine. Australia will recognise the right of the Palestinian people to a state of their own, predicated on the commitments Australia has received from the Palestinian Authority. We will work with the international community to make this right a reality. Australia is making this statement today following our Cabinet meeting as part of a coordinated global effort building momentum for a two-state solution. Over the past fortnight, I have discussed this with Prime Minister Starmer, President Macron, Prime Minister Luxon and Prime Minister Ishaba, as well as Prime Minister Netanyahu last Thursday and President Abbas last Tuesday. A two-state solution is humanity's best hope to break the cycle of violence in the Middle East and to bring an end to the conflict, suffering and starvation in Gaza.
The UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights in the Palestinian territories called on the European Football Governing Body, or the UEFA, on Sunday to expel Israel from competitions over its war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip. Albanese's call came following UEFA's farewell to a former Palestinian player, Suleiman Al-Obeid, whom it called the Palestinian Pele. Obeid was killed on Wednesday when the Israeli army opened fire on civilians waiting for aid delivery near a distribution point in the southern Gaza Strip, according to the Palestinian Football Association. Hundreds of pro-Israel demonstrators marched through central London on Sunday, demanding the release of hostages still held in Gaza and to show their support for the country. Protesters led by the UK's chief rabbi, Sir Ephraim Mervis, and the Jewish Direct Action Group Stop the Hate held Israeli flags and placards showing the faces of hostages. Meanwhile, police have arrested 474 people at a demonstration in London in support of banned group Palestine Action.
An Israeli airstrike in Gaza City late Sunday night killed 6 journalists, according to Al-Shifa Hospital. The deceased included 4 journalists from Al Jazeera.
5 Al Jazeera journalists have been killed in an Israeli strike near Gaza City's Al-Shifa Hospital. According to Al Jazeera reports, correspondents Anas Al-Sharif and Mohammed Kraike, alongside cameraman Ibrahim Zahar, Mohammed Naufal and Mohammed Aliva, were in a tent for journalists at the hospital's main gate when it was struck. Al Jazeera said in a statement, quote, "The targeted assassination on Sunday was yet another blatant and premeditated attack on press freedom," end quote. Shortly after the strike, the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, confirmed that it had targeted Anas al-Sharif, writing in a telegram post that he had served as the head of a terrorist cell in Hamas. The IDF did not mention any of the other journalists who were killed. Al Jazeera reports that in total, 7 people died in the strike. The broadcaster initially said that 4 of its staff had been killed, but revised it to 5 a few hours later. Its managing editor told other foreign media that Al-Sharif was an accredited journalist who was the only voice for the world to know what was happening in the Gaza Strip. Throughout the war, Israel has not allowed international journalists into Gaza to report freely. Therefore, many outlets rely on local reporters within the territory for coverage. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, or the CPJ, 186 journalists have been confirmed killed since the start of Israel's military offensive in Gaza in October 2023. For the journalists still in Gaza, the situation is dire. As well as airstrikes, there is a threat of starvation. Last month, the BBC and 3 news agencies, Reuters, AP and AFP, issued a joint statement expressing desperate concern for journalists in the Strip, who they say are increasingly unable to feed themselves and their families. 3 freelancers, whom the BBC relies on for its coverage, said they often go days without eating, and 1 collapsed during filming. More than 100 international aid organizations and human rights groups have warned of mass starvation in Gaza. Israel, however, which controls the entry of aid supplies into Gaza, has accused the charities of serving the propaganda of Hamas. Israel launched its offensive in response to the Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on the 7th of October 2023, in which about 1,200 people were killed and 251 others were taken hostage. More than 61,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the Israeli military operation began, according to the territory's Hamas-run health ministry.
US President Donald Trump has said homeless people must move out of Washington, D.C. as he vowed to tackle crime in the city. But the mayor pushed back against the White House, likening the American capital to Baghdad in Iraq. Now, the Republican president has also trailed a news conference for Monday about his plan to make the city, quote-unquote, safer and more beautiful than it ever was before.
Trump signed an order last month making it easier to arrest homeless people, and he last week ordered federal law enforcement into the streets of Washington, D.C. The specifics of the president's plan are not yet clear, but in 2022 speech, he proposed moving homeless people to high-quality tents on inexpensive land outside cities while providing access to bathrooms and medical professionals. On Friday, Trump ordered federal agents, including from U.S. Park Police, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the FBI, and U.S. Marshals Service into Washington, D.C. to curb what he called totally out of control levels of crime. A White House official told NPR that up to 450 federal officers were deployed on Saturday night. The administration is also considering deploying National Guard members, although Trump has not yet made a final decision, according to reports by Reuters and ABC News. Trump's moves come after a 19-year-old former employee of the Department of Government Efficiency was assaulted in an alleged attempt carjacking in Washington, D.C.
One person was killed when an earthquake of magnitude 6.1 struck northwestern Turkey's Balıkesir province. According to the Interior Minister, the quake also wounded 29 people and caused 16 buildings to collapse.
One person has died in Turkey after a magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck the northwest province of Balıkesir on Sunday evening. An 81-year-old woman passed away shortly after she was pulled out from the rubble in the town of Sindırgi, which was the epicenter of the quake. 16 buildings collapsed as a result of the tremors and 29 people had been injured. President of Turkey issued a statement wishing a swift recovery to everyone who was affected and said that all recovery efforts were being closely monitored. Search and rescue operations have now concluded, and the Interior Minister said that there was no other signs of serious damage or casualties. Turkey is located in the intersection of three major tectonic plates and experiences frequent seismic activity as a result. In February 2023, more than 50,000 people were killed when a 7.8 magnitude earthquake devastated the southeastern region of the country. A further 5,000 were killed in neighboring Syria. More than 2 years on from that quake, hundreds of thousands of people remain displaced.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.